Good afternoon, Tamara.
Good afternoon, Shannon.
How are you?
I am feeling rejuvenated all within a half hour of being outside.
Yes, that's definitely how I was about to open this up, talking about this beautiful, beautiful day. What did you do outside? Did you get that melanin popping? What was your fresh air experience like?
Well, I
Ooh,
think I want to get into the skin. That half hour did everything. I was tired before I got outside. I was really like, but I was like, I'm going to get outside. So in that half hour, it's really true. Like all you need is 15 minutes in the sun. My skin felt good. I immediately got rejuvenated. I took the dog out. My endorphins kind of kicked in. My mood shifted drastically. And I was like, good day, neighbor.
come on now. Come on now. It's funny. Every year is like like the winter is like it's like it's never going to end. And like when we get that nice little strat like we do now, the sun is popping and it's like it's like your pores start to sing, you feel opened up. It's like, can you feel a brand new day? That's how I feel anyway. I don't know about anybody else.
Listen, I didn't even need a song. Normally, I need a little song, an intro. It just was like,
Come on. Come on. Well, today is such a beautiful day. I'm so excited. And then on our Wednesday, right? It's Wellness Wednesday. So, what better day to have all this sun, all this warmth, beautiful day. So, on this Wellness Wednesday, we are, and as a reminder, I need to stop skipping in front of things. We are the Wellness Collective. So, we are live at 5. The Wellness Collective is a mutual aid collective. Mutual aid means pulling our resources to ensure that we all have what we need when we need it. Our shared resources allow us to dream bigger as a collective. And so, speaking of dreaming bigger, being a collective has allowed for us to explore a lot of interesting spaces, test things out, like really, really dig into what does it mean to be a community and what does it mean to show up for each other. And so today I've been excited all year prior to this year, but I've been very excited about Mom's Virtual Assistants. Samara, when you first heard about Mom's Virtual, because that's kind of how we linked up, huh?
yep.
Awesome. Like when you first heard about it, I'm curious about what was your first thoughts about it?
I was like, so first off, you're going to hire moms who probably already do this, just don't know they do it. And I can have them for personal and business. Say what? Let me not stop to make appointments. Let me not even prioritize emails. And it just made it more, to me, realistic for the everyday mom, the everyday person. People hear of assistants and they think of these high executives, but how the world works now, everything shuts down earlier. You do need another set of hands.
Come on. Come on now. Right. Like, and especially in a world where it's like our time is worth less and less, you know what I mean, for the regular person. And so we're working more and more, and not only working more and more, but we also still have to do life. Like, so, if you're a mom, like you have kids, the school is emailing you, like the extracurriculars, like there's constant communication there. You have to meal prep if you have a spouse or a partner, you got to manage and navigate that. Like you got to do this, that, and the third thing. Don't be an entrepreneur on top of that. Then that's a whole new ball game altogether. So there is so much that is piled on top, on top, on top. Absolutely. So like, yeah, you need an extra set of hands, eyes, and everything else to go with that. So that's definitely, so that's point one, right? Like, so like the productivity is, that's what we're doing here. The part that I like the most about it is, well, like, so since we've been around as the Wellness Collective, like we've been, a resource to community, especially through COVID. But prior to that, actually, like little known secret, well, not really a secret, but like if you were rocking with us since day A, you know that we've been around before the pandemic. We didn't spark out of it. Like we were already here, but though very new. And the intention was just to make sure that people had what they needed when we needed it, right? There's this misconception that our traditional social safety nets can just, they're the catch all, right? Like, and so when someone's not a social worker or like in that sort of business, you don't necessarily know that, like, Urban League is not the catch all. Catholic Charities is not the catch-all. Like, social welfare is not the catch-all. You have to qualify, and the qualifications are stringent. The highs are highs, the lows are lows. And also, like, they don't have unlimited resources. Like, so, what I mean? There's a cap on what they can do. And there's a cap of who they can do it for. So even if you're a person, and this is what like really, really got to me as a social worker, as a young social worker, it's like, even if I know, like, we can visibly see that someone has a need, if they don't look like they have a need on paper, we don't know what to tell you, right? Like, so that's just like, that's not a dig on social safety nets in general, but we also recognize that there are barriers that exist. So, the Wellness Collective sprung out of the need of filling that gap. Like, that's what it is. That's what I am. I like to call myself a professional gap filler, because like wherever like the needs aren't being met, all right, cool. Like, that's where I'm going to live. And so, all that to say, when we got started with the Wellness Collective, and then moving on, and then especially during COVID, what we noticed is who's predominantly reaching out to us are moms. Why do you think that might be?
I
Little
mean,
quiz.
think about historically, moms have always been tasked with running the household, whether they worked or not. So if our time has become more complex, less valued, um, she still has to do all the things, and might do more because she might have to help her husband or her partner or her parents or someone else in addition to her normal household composition manage their life as well. So there are a lot of there are a lot of moms who are caretakers early because of COVID. So now they have their parents who might not be that much older. They might be 50s, and now they're caring for them full time on top of their children in the thick of raising them. So and women, that's just the system. That's just how society has always been, where we are supposed to be the more responsible, the more organized together, right? We always to them figure it out, but in reality it's out of survival. We don't have a choice but to figure it out. And so I think moms takes that pressure off. I wish this is something as a new mom. How many doctor's appointments do you have to take your newborn to, plus yourself, plus figuring out like what are you going to order to eat? Now there's services, but you have to make time to vet what service works for your home, what doctor works for your home, for the needs, what school curriculum, what's in your community, bookkeeping. If your husband has a small business and you're the person that does the bookkeeping, listen, we got a kid now. I don't want to do the bookkeeping. We have to outsource. So moms to me offers a lot, and it's US. It's in the USA, and it's local, and it's moms who can assimilate to your brand. Like, let's talk about that. There's a lot of VA firms, but you might get them in Shanghai or Pakistan, and they're like they're not assimilating enough culturally.
Yeah, that is like that's definitely a really key point. I had a VA from El Salvador. She was great. The company that she worked for was great. They actually did a lot. I had an in-house assistant who, quite frankly, trashed a lot of things in my business, to the point where I was like, I was in shock for some months. So I had to kind of come out of that. And then hire this VA firm, but they were out of El Salvador, so they were great with kind of like rebuilding the things that kind of got trashed. But there was a barrier with, like, first of all, like, there's a language barrier, like, because she had to use a translator for certain things, and then on top of that, like, she wasn't privy to like the geographical, makeup of the area, and so there was, like, there's just that curve there. So like, it is the benefit that, of course, all of our moms are local. They're all from Allegheny County, because they are of the Wellness Collective, right? Like, so like we have that benefit of being local, hyper local. But to your point, Tamara, mom's service, like, so mom service, anyone in the US. So anyone in the US can be a member of the Wellness Collective through Moms Virtual. And so the way that it's constructed is, say a company in California, small business, needs a VA, they can become a member of the Moms Virtual Assistant branch of our community bank. That makes them a member of the Wellness Collective. And what that means is their dues are going to be based on what they plan to utilize out of that branch. And the moms who are volunteering their time in the branch, like, they are compensated for their time. And so instead of moms who are right doing it all, taking care of the kids, taking care of the household, doing this, that, and the third thing that's not really leaving space for livable wage employment, while also like providing quality care for their children and also being able to pour back into themselves, right? Like because like we tend to put that on the back burner, especially when we're doing everything else. Like there's no time for self-care, there's no time for rest because I got to take care of everybody else until there's nothing left of me. So like to undercut all of that, being able to hire moms to provide this service through the Wellness Collective. They're providing stellar service. They're like impeccably trained eye, right? Like you said, moms just do this stuff, right? Like we do it on a regular basis. We're already multitasking. We're already managing 1,000 schedules. We're already corresponding. We're already doing these things. So if we're doing these things, why not get paid to do it, right? Like why not be compensated for our time? Especially for our moms who are trying to make ends meet, but the ends ain't meeting because I can't hold a regular job because my baby is at home, right? And then we had, COVID. COVID set in. None of the kids were at school. So if my kid is at home, how am I supposed to be outside of the home, like working? Where does sense come in? And then when the kids went back to school, there are now no buses. There's no transportation. So again, where's my kid supposed to go? Or God forbid, like the childcare isn't always accessible. Childcare has a tendency to be extremely expensive or not safe, like unfortunately in some regards. So again, where's my baby supposed to go while I'm out working? Right. So like I said, like who reached out to us, who typically reaches out to us, the Wellness Collective for support has always been moms, more than anybody else. And so as we realize that, yeah, again, like I'm the gap filler, professional gap filler. So it's like, okay, moms are reaching out. It's kind of like pretty consistently moms who are reaching out. What's going on here? And so as we got to peeling away the layers, like what's going on, we realized that mom can't work outside of the home. Mom doesn't have, adequate transportation. Mom doesn't have adequate childcare. Mom cannot make the shake, or the employment that's made available for mom is not livable wage, right? Like so all of these things that moms are faced with while also in charge of making sure these small bodies live, survive, and thrive. So that's on large why I'm excited about Moms Virtual because like we get to support our moms, our community in that way, but also we get to support our business and organizational communities. I'm curious about like you as a small business owner yourself, Tamara, in all the ways that you are. Is that something that you would be interested in as an entrepreneur? Like, is mom something that would pique your interest?
Yeah, so being that, I'm not just one small business owner, like how some people have their niche and stay in it. So doing therapy and business strategizing and adding more social media management to my brand, that's something that I definitely like after quarter one, where can I put this? How can I budget for this? Because I don't want to do all the things. I don't whatever cape they gave me at, younger when I was in charge of my brothers who should have been in charge of themselves. They can have it. I burnt it. I buried it. So after quarter one, which is in March, is coming up, right? My plan is to budget for it and let it work itself in, right? If we can budget for coffee experiences, we can budget for the latest app rollouts, we can budget for things that we're not even using. It's just a matter of allocating money for that. And I think that frees your time up as well as to get more to clients that you're servicing or things that can expand your brand and your business.
Mm. Absolutely. I think that's a really good point too, right? Because like a VA sounds like a luxury expense, but quite frankly, like if you are a one person show, like many of us are, you are severely undercutting yourself. Like there's no way, like it's just not possible to have enough time in the day and enough hands to do all the things that you need to do to grow efficiently. And especially like when you're in a growth stage, like I am, like it's soon you realize like I can't do all of this because I need to focus on growing the thing. And if you are focusing on doing the bookkeeping, you're doing the social media, you're doing the corresponding, you're doing the invoicing, the billing, and all of that, like you can't necessarily focus on the thing that makes you, right? Like I got the secret sauce for my business. Can't nobody do it like me. Don't nobody have my vision, right? Like no one has that. But anybody anybody literally can do my social media, they can do my corresponding, they can do like, these things can be offloaded from me. And that allows me to grow and do the things that I need to do. What I did recognize when, and this again, like why this sits out so much for me, when my prior assistant, when she was actually doing what she was supposed to do, um, it was so great. Like I was able to grow to like higher heights. I was able to like hit, new strides because I wasn't doing all of the things. I was focusing on what I was here to do. I was focusing on my secret sauce. Right. Like, and so like when I didn't have that, so I noticed a stark difference from when I had it and when I did not have it. Right.
Mm.
And then when I had it again and when I did not have it. Right. Like, so like that growth, like if you are an entrepreneur, like it really is an expense that like it's not a luxury, it's a requirement if you're really trying to grow. Like, and it doesn't feel like that. Like, I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough space being held for like, what's a necessity like in that way. Because I feel like folks will say it, but I don't think it's made very clear of how important it is that you are not the only cook in the kitchen, if that makes sense. It might just be me.
No, I think this is something that we're evolving. 2020 and 2022, 2023. I would say the last 3 or 4 years, what they call the soft life. I think when people start to see that this is not necessarily soft life, these are just things that people who are well off been doing for years.
Mm,
So it's now made more accessible and more available for your everyday person. And why do unnecessary work whenever, especially if it's something that pains you? Like, I will be honest, invoicing for me, I'm realizing I'd be like, it's a day to invoice.
it's tedious. It's so tedious. And it's like it's not like it's hard work, but you should be focusing on the things that makes you you and your business your business. Like stopping like that constant stop start. All right, it takes me 5 minutes to send this invoice. All right, it takes me 10 minutes to send this email. All right, it takes me like another 5 minutes to send out this social media post. All right, it's gonna take me a half hour to make the social media post. Like all of that adds up quickly. And then where does it leave you? Like, where is the space for you to actually do the thing that you need to do? Right? And so, like, a lot of, like, me, like, small business owners, like myself included, like, we find ourselves in that on that wheel, right? Of going around like, "All right, I gotta do all the things," or whatever. Like, and also pride has just kept that fear of how do I even hand this off to another person? Right? Like, is this person actually gonna do it the way that I need them to do it?
Mhm.
Right? Are they gonna be competent? Can I trust that when my back is turned, they're representing my company the way that I need them to represent it? And the other side of that is, do I even know how to communicate what I need to communicate so that they can do what they need to do? Right. Like, so like there's so much to consider, which is why, like the training for our moms was super important to me. I mean, leaning in on, first of all, like they all receive a trauma responsive care training, because I feel like if we're dealing with people, you're the first line of defense. We need to know how to deal with people, because it's not always going to be sunshine and kittens. And if a person is in crisis or elevated, we need to know how we're going to respond to it. So like trauma responsive care is just baseline for me. But also like, the technical training, like, what is proper phone and email etiquette? How do you use Asana and Monday, and et cetera, et cetera? Like, how do you properly, keep books, et cetera? Like all of the things that it takes to handle that back office support, making sure that our moms not only have the foundational training, but also ongoing support and training, from the back end from us at the Wellness Collective, because that's how we keep the thing running. One of the things that I think is interesting that we train our moms on is like tone and voice. Because again, like you said, like if you are going to represent me, then it needs to be seamless between when people are talking to me and when they're talking to you. They shouldn't know that they're talking to you or me. Like it shouldn't be like a stark difference of like, oh, I'm talking to Shan now, and now I'm talking to this other person. That should never happen, right? So tone and voice is also something that we focus on to make sure that our moms are seamless. Um, so before I continue on, because I could talk. Was there anything else that you want to add to like just the construction around moms and like the importance for small business?
No, I think that you've hit all of it. I've said like my high parts that I immediately wrote it down. I shared it with as many people like, listen, this is the way, this is the way that you're going to get some of your life back.
Period. Like, oh my goodness. And I cannot stress enough, like I said, like there is such a stark difference. Like when I had an effective assistant, oh child, like my life felt like my life again. I like, and the thing that I love of like the passion I have for my business, it's like it suddenly came back. It didn't feel heavy. Like it didn't feel like work. Like it didn't feel like a chore anymore because I was able to focus on the thing that made me excited about it in the first place. So that's super dope. Keep that in mind. So I want to move on to how this connects into the Wellness Collective, right? So like I said, we started like we created this branch of the community bank, the Moms Virtual Assistance branch, as we recognized that moms were the ones who were primarily reaching out to us, and they were reaching out because like they had a need for there was a wealth gap based on the fact that they are home taking care of the kids and cannot make a space possible for doing all of these other things when it comes to like earning income, or like the income that's available was just not enough to sustain a household. So that's the one part of it. But as we drill into the Wellness Collective, right, it's not a separate thing from the community bank. It's not a separate thing from our mutual aid. It's a part of it, right? So as you might have noticed, I said the Moms Virtual Assistance branch. That means again that all of our businesses and organizations and community groups and whoever else, like moms, parents, individuals, solopreneurs who become who would like to take advantage of the resource of Moms Virtual, they are members of the community bank, of the Wellness Collective. So they become a member of the community, or of the Wellness Collective, excuse me. They join the Moms Virtual branch. And what that does is, based on whatever their level of need is, how often they like, how much they plan on utilizing the moms for, that's what their dues will be for the Wellness Collective. Their dues will go into that branch, and that way, our moms who are a part of that branch, they are compensated based on the amount of work and resource that they provide to the businesses. So that's one thing, right? The other thing is, aside from the overhead, aside from the money that goes to the moms, any revenue that's left over, that's a part of the community bank. So it's feeding
Mm.
into the community, right? Like, so our members, if you're a member of the Wellness Collective, you get to reap the benefits of the mutual aid, or the Moms Virtual Assistance branch, because it's a part of the mutual aid in the first place, right? So it's growing our internal resources to make sure that our members have what we need when we need it, right? Like it allows for us to reach higher heights because we're growing this resource together. So not just our individual dues, not just our recruiting new members, but also again, like we have this branch that is generating revenue for the mutual aid part component. So that's another part. The other part, because it's mutual aid, because it's a nonprofit, um, it is tax deductible, right? Like we have our fiduciary agent. Like I don't touch money, like it goes to her. So if you got anything to say, like talk to her. Shout out to Alice. She takes care of all of our books to make sure that everything's on the up and up, and that's also an extra layer of accountability for everybody. But in order to, like I said, like because it's feeding through our community bank, it is tax deductible for our business owner. So essentially, it's a free service, right? Like, so rather than taking that hit at the end of the year at tax season, though, like you can write it off, it is tax deductible on top of that. So, one, if you're a business owner, you are receiving stellar service from the VA. Two, you are supporting moms make a livable wage, either on top of their regular job, or like this is their regular job. Three, you are literally supporting the actual community, like directly with your dues, because the remaining revenue goes into the mutual aid bucket. And then four is tax deductible. And five, which I don't say enough, and I really need to mention it. Note that I said that you're a member of the Wellness Collective, because you're feeding into a branch. That also means that you have access. If you're in Allegheny County, you have access to the mutual aid component as well. So if you are a small business owner and you are committing your dues to Moms Virtual for the Moms Virtual branch, say you hit a snag and you need support, you have access to it because you're a member of the bank. Simple as that. So there's five really, really big ways in which we are supporting each other. Reciprocity is like our big thing, our overarching reason, mission for what we do, and we're definitely being intentional about making sure that that's happening. So, like I said, I'm super excited about Moms Virtual, not only for like all of the ways that it's supportive, not only to our moms, to our community, to our business community, our organizational community, but because I'm also hiring moms. So we're in the process of onboarding moms for my small business, because again, I recognize like when I have an assistant and when I do not. And I do not want to live a life where I do not have an assistant. And quite frankly, I don't see myself growing and elevating the way that I need to, the way that I can, right? Like without having a second in command that is Johnny on the spot, knows my business inside and out, is passionate about my business, can, mimic my tone and voice, is, on top of all the things that I need them to be on top of. I just don't see me reaching what's there for me, right? Like what's meant for me without having a second in command. So that's what I got on Mom's Virtual. Is there anything else that you wanted to add about this branch?
The tax write-off, like that, it's a win-win all the way around.
Come on now. Like, and depending on your due level, like, so if you're really, really pulling on the resource, like, you get to write all of that up, serve it off. That's an inside joke for my Oliver FIFA. Anyway, um, other than that, the only other thing I want to say is if you are not someone who feels like you would need to utilize Mom's Virtual, right? Like if that's like, I don't run a business, I don't really need all of that. I would still say consider joining the Wellness Collective generally and joining for the mutual aid aspect, right? Again, like we're all pouring in, and it doesn't take a lot, right? Literally, our minimum due level for an individual is $5 a month. So like our due requirements are $5 a month. Or if you're like I'm not comfortable with the financial commitment, it's 5 hours worth of service, right? So like it's either $5 a month as minimum. You can choose whatever that or be or above, or you can choose 5 hours of community service or volunteer work plus one new recruit each month. So you're responsible for your due commitment and also recruiting one new person each month. And that's solidifies your membership into the Wellness Collective. And like I said, like let you hit a snag or let an opportunity come by and you don't have the resources or the access or the support to make it work. You have the access and you have the community of the Wellness Collective to make those things happen. And if I'm not clear on what that means or how like how impactful that is, we've been able to pay down payments for new cars for folks. We've been able to secure new houses for folks. We've been able to keep folks from ending up on the street because like rent got out of hand. Like there's been so many ways that we've been able to show up as a collective. And note that I am saying we, not me. I ain't do it. Like I ain't do it but be here, right? Like I'm one person. I'm one person of the Wellness Collective, right? There's an us, there's an all. And so like we collectively have been able to do that, and it didn't feel like anything, right? It wasn't a big chunk, like, and these are not small like amounts of money, right? But it didn't feel like anything because we're all lifting a little bit. And since
Mhm.
we all lift a little bit, just a little bit, we have so much power and so much impact that we can draw from. So again, if you are someone who if you are someone who needs a VA, I would consider joining the Wellness Collective under the Mom's Virtual branch. If you are someone who does not need a VA, I would still consider joining the Wellness Collective because of the mounting benefit of being a member of the Wellness Collective. So I am going to put in the chat the link that goes directly to the application for the community bank or the Wellness Collective. So if you wanted to check it out, feel free to do so. If you have any questions, you can feel free to give Tamara an email. I'm going to throw you out there. You can email Tamara and ask any questions, either about Mom's Virtual or anything else that any other question you might have about the Wellness Collective. So that's all I have for today. Tamara, is there anything else that you want to say before we peace out?
Don't forget, Dr. Tommy Curry is coming this Saturday at 1:00, and I have been out in the community. I have been in everybody's inbox that I know. I have been sharing. Responsibility to hold space and to be accountable for the way that we show up for others. And so that is my portion, to show up for the Black men in my life and the Black men that will come into my life. And so I'm hoping that people take the opportunity and sign up. It's a one-time opportunity to sit with someone who has the empirical data to talk about all the things that Black men don't have the words for, and why not get the words.
Yes.
So it's happening this Saturday at 1:00. Like finally this Saturday. We've been talking about it, but it's going down this Saturday.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And we're finally, as you said, we're finally here. I feel like we've been running this rant for so long, and it's finally amongst us. I put in the chat the link for that goes directly to the mental wellness speed dating event, the to be black, male, and unprotected event with Dr. Tommy J. Curry. Amazing, amazing, amazing guy with so much information to provide, but so much space to offer. Like on top of the information, information is that's important and powerful, but it's like the space that he's holding for black men in a way that I've never seen in my entire life. And I've been doing this community thing for a long time. But like, but there's never been, I've never witnessed, I'm not saying it's never existed, but I've never witnessed a space that not only holds the experience of black men, but also backs it up with like, and here's all the data. Like, and here you go. I'm not just saying this. This is actually what a thing, right? And who knows that it's a thing is black men and boys, right? Like they know what it is. But there's never really space to be, to say that this is what my experience has been in those very real and vulnerable ways. This event is made for everybody, so like we are holding space for black men and boys, but literally everybody should show up because we are all intersecting with black men and boys. We're all engaging, coming across black men and boys. So it's important to know like what their experiences are, especially if you're someone who does work, on behalf of black men and boys. Very much deeply praying for the families at Westinghouse. Due
Mhm.
to the shooting that happened there. I can't imagine what that must feel like as a parent. I could not imagine what that feels like as a teacher, administrator. I can't imagine as a community member, and especially as a student. I could not imagine what any of that feels like. And it's like these examples keep popping up of like why we really need to hold space, like in a real way, right? Like there has to be understanding before we continue to step forward, thinking that we're going to intervene and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. There has to be understanding. And I feel like
Right.
that's with key element that's been missing is that understanding. Dr. Curry is, like I said, a phenomenal guy. Very, very intelligent, is, going to come with the information, but he's also offering to hold space, right? Like, so for our practitioners who sign up for the mental wellness speed dating part, or just to show up for their own edification, Dr. Curry has made himself available to have like one on like roundtable conversation after the initial discussion. So if you attend and you have follow up questions, if you want to dig deeper, if you want to think about what does it look like to collaborate further with Dr. Curry, he's making himself available for that, which is amazing, right? He's also, said that he'd make available his source research. So again, he's not just pulling it out the air, like like all of the information there. So if you are an educator, like if you are someone who like that information would be very, very important to your work or just for your life, he's making that available. So there's so much to be offered here. Um, of course, because it's mental wellness speed dating, there will be a mental wellness speed dating portion, and because we are centering black men and boys, that space is exclusively made for black men and boys. Now, if you are someone who is looking forward to attending that part, don't you worry, don't you fret. This is only the first one of the year. We're going to have more, and it's going to be an open space. But this one, we wanted to really, really set aside time to see here and be supportive of black men and boys. So that space is specifically for black men and boys who might be seeking support on their healing journey. All of the clinicians and practitioners who will be in that space are all black practitioners, and that's more of just a safety thing because of the conversation can be very heavy. But we have clinicians of all types and backgrounds and ethnicities who are part of our network. So if that doesn't work, like we have a full list on our practitioners guide that are made available as well. So yeah, like it's gonna be a heavy event, resource heavy event. Once, as Samara said, once in a lifetime. I like this will be the first time Dr. Curry is in Pittsburgh, so to speak. It's virtual. So like we definitely want to show out and show them, what Pittsburgh is made of. So yeah, like definitely show up. We do have I put the link in the chat again. So if you are interested in looking up registering, I definitely would do that. Note that there are different ticket types for the different community types, and that's because like there's going to be access for different folks. So make sure that you click on your correct ticket type. So if you are not a black man or boy, don't click that ticket, like because you're going to have access in the wrong places. It's going to get weird. If you're a clinician who's participating or a practitioner participating in the mental wellness speed dating, click the MWSD practitioner. If you are not participating in that portion, just click the practitioner one. Did I say all the things?
All the things, but I was like, let's not leave that out.
Yes, yes. Shout out to you. Shout out to Mara. Well, that will do it for today. We are outie like a brownie scout. We'll be back next week for some more Wellness Wednesday. Thank you all so very, very much.